She was called the most dangerous 10-year-old in America. A child so broken, she destroyed everyone who tried to help her. 7 nannies quit. 3 therapists ran away crying. Her own father, one of the richest men in the country, called her his greatest failure. But then a 23-year-old waitress, who could barely pay her rent, walked into her life. And she did something nobody else had ever dared to do. She looked this little girl in the eyes, and she said N.O. What happened next changed everything. This is their story, and I promise you, you've never heard anything like it. Welcome to Voice of Granny. While you are here, please hit the subscribe button and comment your view on the story and where you're watching from. You know that sound? The sound of something expensive shattering into 1,000 pieces? That's how this story begins. With the crash of a $10,000 antique plate hitting the floor of a small cafe in downtown Chicago. Let me tell you about Emma Rodriguez. She was 23 years old, working double shifts at a place called the Morning Light Cafe, and barely making enough to cover her rent. She had dreams, though. Big dreams. She was studying psychology at night school, trying to understand why people do the things they do. Why they hurt. Why they heal. She didn't know it yet, but she was about to meet someone who would test everything she thought she knew. The girl's name was Lily Harrington, 10 years old, daughter of James Harrington, one of the richest men in America. And she had a reputation that spread through Chicago's elite circles like wildfire. 5 nannies in 6 months. 3 private schools. A trail of broken things and broken people behind her. The newspapers called her the untamable child. Her father called her his greatest failure. But Emma was about to call her something else entirely. It was a gray Tuesday afternoon when they walked in. The cafe was quiet, just a few regulars nursing their coffee and reading newspapers. Then the door opened, and Emma looked up to see a man who looked like he hadn't slept in weeks. James Harrington. She recognized him from magazine covers. But in person, he looked nothing like those confident photos. He looked defeated. Behind him came a small girl in a crisp school uniform, her dark hair pulled back so tight it seemed to pull at her face. She moved like a storm contained in a little body, and Emma could feel the tension radiating from her even across the room. "Table for 2, James said quietly, his voice hollow. Emma led them to a corner booth. And that's when the performance began. "This seat is wet," Lily announced, her voice sharp and clear. "It's not, sweetheart," James sighed, not even looking up. "It is," Lily insisted. "And that light is buzzing. It's giving me a headache. I can't possibly eat here." Emma watched. Not with anger. Not with judgment. She watched the way you'd watch a puzzle, trying to figure out how all the pieces fit together. This wasn't a spoiled child throwing a tantrum. This was something else. This was strategy. "I can turn off that light if you'd like," Emma offered calmly. Lily's eyes snapped to her, surprised by the lack of panic in Emma's voice. "The water," Lily said, picking up the glass Emma had just filled. "It tastes like metal. Are you trying to poison me?" Now, most people would get defensive. Most people would apologize frantically or call for a manager. Emma did neither. "It's tap water," Emma said simply. "Chicago's finest, filtered through the city system. Would you like bottled instead?" "I want the water we have at home. From the springs in Iceland." "We don't have that," Emma said. "But I can get you bottled water, or you can have the tap water, or you can have nothing. Those are your choices." James looked up, shocked. Emma held Lily's gaze steadily. "My name is Emma. What can I get you to eat?" Lily stared at her. This was the moment where adults usually crumbled. Emma just stood there, pen in hand, waiting. "Grilled cheese," Lily finally said. "But on whole wheat bread. Not white. With aged cheddar, not American cheese. Crusts cut off. In squares, not triangles. And if there's even one brown spot, I'm sending it back." "Got it," Emma said, writing it down. "And for you, sir?" "Just coffee," James whispered, looking at Emma like she was performing a miracle just by standing there. 10 minutes later, Emma returned with the food. The grilled cheese was perfect. Golden, cut into precise squares, crusts removed. She placed it in front of Lily with care. Lily inspected it, turned it over, sniffed it, and then, with a sudden violent motion, she swept her arm across the table. The plate, the sandwich, her full glass of water, all of it crashed to the floor. The entire cafe went silent. "It was brown," Lily hissed. James put his head in his hands. "I'm sorry," he whispered to no one. "I'm so sorry." Emma's manager started storming over, his face red with anger. But Emma held up one hand, stopping him. Then she did something no one expected. She knelt down. Not to clean up the mess. She picked up one small piece of the sandwich and looked at it. Then she looked up at Lily. "You're right," Emma said quietly. "This edge is a little darker than the other side. My mistake." Lily's mouth fell open. Of all the possible reactions, yelling, crying, demanding they leave, simple, honest agreement was the one thing she'd never encountered. "But I have a question," Emma continued, still kneeling at eye level with the girl. "That throw, was it a 10 out of 10, or more like a 7? Because the plate got good distance, but the water splash was kind of messy. Not very controlled." James's head came up. The manager froze. And Lily just stared. "I'm just saying," Emma said, starting to pick up the broken pieces. "If you're going to make a scene, it should be epic." "That was okay. A little predictable. You seem smarter than that. I bet you could come up with something more creative." And then Emma saw it. Just for a second. The tiniest hint of a smile on Lily's face before she caught herself and made it disappear. "Shut up," Lily muttered. "Fair enough," Emma said, standing up. "Are you still hungry, or was that just for show?" That evening, Emma was finishing her shift when her manager called her into the back office. He looked pale. "Jenkins," he said, using her last name the way he did when he was nervous. "I just got a phone call. From James Harrington's assistant. They want you to call this number. They said it's urgent." Emma stared at the piece of paper he handed her. Her hands were shaking. When she got home to her tiny apartment, the one she shared with 2 roommates and where the heat barely worked, she made the call. A crisp, professional voice answered. "Miss Rodriguez, Mr. Harrington would like to meet with you. A car will pick you up in 1 hour." It wasn't a question. It was a statement. An hour later, Emma found herself in the back of a black car that probably cost more than her entire year's salary. They drove to a building that seemed to pierce the clouds, all glass and steel and impossible wealth. A private elevator took her directly to the top floor. The penthouse office was massive. Windows overlooking all of Chicago, art on the walls that she recognized from textbooks. And standing by the window was James Harrington, looking somehow both powerful and completely broken. "Miss Rodriguez," he said. "Thank you for coming. Did I have a choice?" Emma asked, clutching her bag. He almost smiled. "No, I suppose you didn't. Please sit." Emma sat on a leather couch that was probably worth more than her car. "What I saw today," James began, turning to face her. "No one has ever done that. You didn't baby her. You didn't yell at her. And you didn't break." "I was just doing my job," Emma said. "No, you were doing something else. You saw her. Everyone else sees a monster or a paycheck. You saw something different. What was it?" Emma thought carefully. "I saw a kid who's really, really good at her job. And her job is making people leave." James nodded slowly. "She's exceptional at it. 7 nannies in 6 months. 3 schools. 2 psychologists quit. I can solve billion-dollar problems, Miss Rodriguez, but I cannot reach my own daughter." His voice cracked on the last word. "Mr. Harrington," Emma said gently, "I'm a waitress. I'm studying psychology, but I'm not qualified for." "The qualified people have all failed," he interrupted. "They come with their degrees and their methods, and she destroys them. They're afraid of her. Or they're afraid of me. You weren't afraid of either." He walked to his desk. "I want to hire you. Not as a nanny. Not as a tutor. As a companion. Someone to spend time with her. To do what you did today, whatever that was." "I can't," Emma said. "I have my job. I have school. I'll pay you $350,000 a year." Emma stopped breathing. That number was so big it didn't feel real. That was freedom. That was the end of working 2 jobs and eating ramen for dinner. That was her student loans disappearing like smoke. "I'll also cover your full tuition," he continued. "Any school you want. Master's degree, PhD, anywhere." "Why me?" Emma whispered. "Because you're the first person she's looked at in 2 years without hatred in her eyes. Because you called her predictable. Because she smiled," Emma finished. James's eyes filled with tears. "You saw that too?" Before Emma could answer, a cold voice cut through the room. "James, you cannot be serious." A woman emerged from a side door. Tall, thin, blonde, wearing a designer dress that cost more than Emma made in a month. She looked at Emma like she was something stuck to the bottom of her shoe. "This is a child, not a stray dog you found on the street." "Victoria, this doesn't concern you," James said, his voice hardening. "Lily is my niece," Victoria Harrington snapped. "It concerns me entirely." She turned her cold eyes on Emma. You're a waitress. What exactly do you think you can offer my niece? Better coffee service? Emma felt anger rising in her chest. But she also felt something else. Clarity. You're right, Emma said, standing up. I'm not qualified. I don't have fancy degrees. I don't know anything about your world. Victoria smiled triumphantly. But I also don't have anything to lose, Emma continued. All those other people? They wanted to keep their jobs. They wanted to impress you. I don't want your money. Both James and Victoria looked shocked. I mean, I do, Emma stammered. It's life-changing money. But if I take this job, I have conditions. Conditions? Victoria laughed. You're in no position to. What are they? James interrupted. 1, Emma said, her courage building. I'm not a nanny. I'm not a servant. I'm just a person spending time with another person. I'm not here to fix her. I'm here to be with her. James nodded. Agreed. 2, Emma said, looking at Victoria. You stay away. From me and from Lily when I'm with her. Whatever you think you're doing to help. It's not helping. Victoria's face went red with fury. How dare you? And 3, Emma said, looking back at James. You have to be involved. I'm not a replacement for you. If I call, you come. If I say you need to be at dinner, you're there. No excuses. Your money can't buy you out of this one. James Harrington stared at this 23-year-old waitress, making demands of one of the richest men in America. And then he did something unexpected. He smiled. A real smile. When can you start? The Harrington penthouse wasn't a home. It was a museum. Cold. Perfect. Empty. Emma arrived the next Monday at 3:30, just as Lily was being dropped off from school by a private driver. The girl walked into the massive entrance hall and stopped dead when she saw Emma standing there. You, Lily said flatly. Me, Emma replied, holding up a paper bag. I brought you a grilled cheese. Whole wheat, aged cheddar, crusts off, squares not too brown. Lily stared at the bag. I'm not hungry. Okay. Emma sat down on an uncomfortable modern bench and pulled out the sandwich. I am. She sat there and ate. Lily watched her, arms crossed. You're not supposed to eat in the entrance hall, Lily said. Where am I supposed to eat? In the kitchen. With the staff. Your dad hired me as a companion, not staff, Emma said, taking another bite. Besides, this bench is terrible. But it's here, so I'm using it. Want a bite? No. I have homework. Lily turned and marched up the stairs. Emma called after her. Okay. I'll be down here. For 3 hours, Emma sat in that entrance hall. She read her psychology textbook. She did a crossword puzzle. She looked around at the massive space and noticed something sad. There were no photos. No personal items. No signs that real people lived here. It was like a fancy hotel, not a home. At 6:30, someone quietly announced dinner was ready. Emma went to the dining room. It was enormous, with a table that could seat 30 people. 2 places were set at opposite ends. Lily appeared and sat down without a word. Could you pass the salt? Emma asked. The salt was at least 20 feet away. Lily looked at her. Then at the salt. Then back at her. No. Okay. Emma got up, walked the length of the table, got the salt, and walked back. They ate in silence. The food was incredible. Some fancy fish with vegetables Emma couldn't even name. Lily picked at hers. So, Emma said, this new school. Dalton. Is it better or worse than the last one? It's boring, Lily said. What's boring about it? Everything. The teachers are stupid. The kids are stupid. Must be lonely, Emma said, being the only smart person in the whole building. Lily's fork stopped halfway to her mouth. You're stupid too. Probably, Emma agreed. I'm definitely failing my statistics class. But I'm pretty good at spotting a liar. Lily put her fork down. I'm not lying. You are. You don't think they're stupid. You think they're something else. But stupid is easier to say. It's a shield. Keeps people from asking more questions. Lily stood up. I'm done. She left. This became the pattern. Every day Lily would test. Emma would deflect. Lily would insult. Emma would agree and redirect. It was exhausting. But Emma didn't give up. The second week, Lily escalated. I'm learning French, she announced one afternoon. With an AI program. My father might invest in the company. Want to hear? Sure, Emma said. Lily tapped her tablet and rapid French filled the room. Then she turned to Emma with a cruel smile. It said only an uneducated idiot would wear cheap shoes like yours. It's wondering if you got them from a thrift store. Emma looked down at her worn sneakers. I did get them from a thrift store, actually. 50 cents. Good guess. But that AI is wrong about one thing. What? My shoes aren't cheap. They're inexpensive. There's a difference. Cheap means poorly made. These have lasted me 2 years. That's value. Lily's smile vanished. Anyway, Emma said, what else can it say? The trap hadn't worked. Lily just stared at her, frustrated. The breakthrough came by accident. Emma was looking for a bathroom when she heard music. Piano music. Someone was playing something complicated, making mistakes, cursing under their breath, and starting again. She followed the sound to a room with the door cracked open. Inside, covered in dust cloths, was a beautiful grand piano. And sitting at it was Lily. She wasn't just playing. She was pouring her whole heart into it. Her small face was tight with concentration and something else, something that looked like pain. She hit a wrong note and slammed her fists on the keys. Then she saw Emma's reflection in the piano's polished surface. "Get out!" she screamed, slamming the lid shut. "That was beautiful," Emma said softly. "I had no idea you could. I said get out. You're not allowed in here. And no one is allowed in here." Lily was shaking, her eyes wide with something that looked like panic. "Okay," Emma said gently, backing away. "I'm sorry. I'm going." She closed the door, her heart pounding. That wasn't the calculating girl from the cafe. That was someone terrified and raw. Emma went downstairs and found James, who had just come home. "Mr. Harrington, I need to tell you something." Lily was playing piano. In a room upstairs. When she saw me, she panicked. James went pale. He actually swayed, grabbing the wall for support. "The music room," he whispered. "She's been in there?" "What music room?" "It was my wife's," he said, his voice breaking. "Rachel. She was a concert pianist. That was her room. I locked it after she died. I didn't know Lily had gotten in." "She doesn't just have access," Emma said quietly. "She's been practicing. She's incredible. But she's carrying something heavy in there." James looked at Emma with hollow eyes. "I thought I was protecting her. By locking it away. By not talking about Rachel. I thought if we didn't mention it, it would hurt less." "It doesn't work that way," Emma said. "The pain doesn't disappear. It just goes underground." After Emma discovered the music room, everything changed. But not in the way you might think. Lily retreated completely. She locked herself in her bedroom, claiming she was sick. The walls went back up, higher than ever. And that's when Victoria Harrington saw her opportunity. She showed up at the penthouse 3 days later for a family dinner. Emma was in the kitchen trying to get Lily to at least eat some soup when Victoria swept in. Well, Victoria said, her voice dripping with false sweetness. The miracle worker, reduced to a delivery girl. "Miss Harrington," Emma said calmly. "I was just taking this up to Lily. Don't bother. She won't eat it. She knows you're a fraud." Emma refused to take the bait. "If you'll excuse me. You stumbled onto one thing," Victoria continued, moving closer. "The music room. Her mother. A cheap emotional trick. And now that she's been discovered, she's shut you out. The game is over." "I'm not playing a game," Emma said. "Oh, everyone is playing a game," Victoria smiled coldly. "You are. I am. My brother is. The only one who isn't is Lily. And she's the one who suffers." "What do you want?" Emma asked directly. "I want what's best for my niece. And that is stability. Not some temporary college student playing therapist. James is blinded by grief and guilt. He needs to give guardianship to someone who can actually handle her. Someone who understands this world." "You," Emma said. "Of course. I'm her family." Victoria took a bite of an apple. "When you fail, and you will, I'll be there to pick up the pieces." The threat was clear. Victoria wasn't just concerned. She was circling, waiting for her chance. Emma left and went upstairs to Lily's door. She knocked softly. "Lily, it's Emma. I'm leaving this soup out here. Your aunt's here, so I get it if you want to hide out. She's terrifying." She heard a small sound from inside. Almost like a laugh. Emma sat down, leaning against the wall. "You know, she thinks I'm going to fail. She's probably right." The door opened a crack. Lily peeked out. "She's a witch. That's one word for it," Emma smiled. "She told me I was out of my league." "You are," Lily said. "But there was no venom in it." "I know. But here's the thing. I don't care about impressing anyone. I'm not here for your dad's money." "Yes, you are." "Okay, I am. It's a lot of money. But that's not why I stay. I stay because I know what it's like to be the problem kid." Lily opened the door fully. You? Yeah. When my mom left, my dad worked 2 jobs just to keep us afloat. And I was angry all the time. I got in fights. I broke things. I wanted everyone to hurt as much as I did. What happened? Lily whispered. My neighbor, Mrs. Chun, this old lady who always smelled like garlic and had like 50 cats. She didn't try to fix me. She just sat with me, taught me to play chess. And whenever I'd act out, she'd just look at me real calm and say, that is a very loud move. But it is not a smart move. Find the smart move. Emma looked at Lily. Your aunt is making a loud move. But you're smarter than she is. So what's the smart move? Lily looked down the hall toward where Victoria's sharp voice could be heard. She told my dad I asked the chef to make fish last week, Lily said quietly. She knows I hate fish. She does that. She tells him things I supposedly want, things she knows will make me upset. Then when I freak out, she gives him this look like, see, I told you she was difficult. Emma's blood ran cold. Victoria wasn't just waiting for Emma to fail. She was actively sabotaging Lily, manufacturing the very behavior she claimed to be concerned about. So the smart move, Emma said carefully, is not to give her the satisfaction. Let's go to dinner. And I have an idea. That night at dinner, Victoria was in full performance mode. Lily, darling, she gushed when they entered. You're feeling better. I was so worried. I'm fine, Aunt Victoria, Lily said, sitting down. The main course was served. Duck. Oh, wonderful, Victoria trilled. I told the chef this was your absolute favorite, Lily. Just like your mother used to make. James flinched. Mentioning Rachel at dinner was forbidden. Lily froze. Emma could see the storm building, the clenched fists, the tightening jaw. This was the trap. If Lily exploded, Victoria won. Emma caught Lily's eye across the table. Smart move. Lily took a deep breath. She picked up her knife and fork. Actually, Aunt Victoria, she said, her voice perfectly calm. Mom never made duck. She was vegetarian. You're the one who always orders it. She took a small bite. But this is fine. Victoria's smile froze on her face. James looked from his daughter to his sister, understanding dawning in his eyes. Emma hid her smile. But as Victoria stared at Emma across that table, her eyes weren't just angry anymore. They were calculating. And dangerous. The war had begun. The small victory should have been the beginning of better things. Lily started talking more. She and Emma would spend time in the music room, with Emma playing simple melodies while Lily would correct her, showing her how it should be done. James started coming home for dinner every night. They were healing. But Victoria was patient. And she was thorough. It happened on a Thursday morning. Emma arrived at the penthouse to find the staff huddled in corners, whispering. The energy felt wrong. Mr. Harrington wants to see you, Maria, the housekeeper, said quietly. In his study. Miss Victoria is with him. Emma's stomach dropped. In the study, James stood behind his desk, his face like stone. Victoria sat in a chair, wearing an expression of tragic sympathy. Emma, James said. His voice was flat. This morning I discovered something missing. A diamond necklace that belonged to Rachel. Her favorite. I don't understand, Emma said. When I realized it was gone, James continued, his voice pained. I asked the staff. No one knew anything. But Victoria, she had a feeling. Victoria held up a small white ticket. A pawn shop receipt. I found this, Victoria said softly, in the pocket of your jacket. The one you left here yesterday. I called the shop. They have the necklace. The room spun. No, that's not. I've never seen that before. I didn't take anything. Emma, James said, and the disappointment in his voice was devastating. The receipt has yesterday's date. I didn't do this. Emma's voice broke. Please, you know me. Why would I? The necklace is worth over $1 million, Victoria said gently. I know this is hard to accept, James. You wanted to trust her. But she's from a different world. The temptation. You did this, Emma said, looking at Victoria. You planted that ticket. You're trying to get rid of me. Me? Victoria gasped. Why would I do such a thing? To prove he can't trust anyone but you. She's hysterical, Victoria said to James. This is what they do when they're caught. They deny, they blame others. The security cameras, Emma said desperately. Check them. I did, James said heavily. The camera in my dressing room, it was offline. A technical error. It hasn't recorded in 3 days. Of course. Victoria had thought of everything. James, Victoria pressed. This is difficult, but we must think of Lily's safety. We cannot have a thief in this house. James looked at Emma. She could see him wanting to believe her. But the evidence was right there. Cold. Hard. Undeniable. He picked up his phone. No, he said. I'm not calling the police. James. Emma, he said, his voice heavy. I'm letting you go. Please leave. Give me your keys. He wasn't having her arrested, but he was throwing her away. After everything, he believed she was a thief. Tears streamed down Emma's face. I didn't do it. I know this is hard, James said. But I have to protect my daughter. Emma pulled the keys from her bag. Her hands were shaking. Tell Lily, tell her I'm sorry. She walked out, past the silent staff, into the elevator. When the doors closed, she collapsed against the wall and sobbed. The next day, Emma sat in her apartment, hollow and defeated. Her buzzer rang. Rang again. She ignored it. Finally, she hit the intercom. Go away. Open the door, you idiot. It's freezing out here. It was Lily. Emma buzzed her in. A moment later, the girl was at her door, alone, her face red with cold and fury. How did you get here? Emma asked. You're supposed to be. I took a cab, Lily said, pushing past her. My father is an idiot and my aunt is a liar. You don't think I did it? Obviously not, Lily scoffed. Stealing is a loud move. And stupid. It's something SHE would do. Lily threw her backpack down and pulled out a tablet. She thought I was just a kid who plays piano. She forgot I'm my father's daughter. What do you mean? I set up my own security cameras months ago, Lily said, her fingers flying across the screen. To spy on the staff. Aunt Victoria disabled Dad's cameras. But she didn't know about mine. And mine upload to a private cloud. She turned the screen around. Emma watched, her heart pounding. The first video showed Victoria using a laptop to disable the main security system. The second showed her slipping the pawn ticket into Emma's jacket pocket, looking around first to make sure no one was watching. She framed me, Emma whispered. Yes, Lily said, her voice cold and controlled. And now we're going to make the smart move. An hour later, James burst into Emma's apartment, his face pale. Lily, you can't just, he stopped. What is she doing here? Look, Lily commanded, turning the tablet. James watched. He saw his sister's calculated betrayal play out in silent video. His face went from confusion to a rage so cold it was frightening. He didn't speak for a full minute. The smart move, Dad, Lily said quietly. James nodded. The smart move. That evening, they confronted Victoria at the penthouse. When James played the video, her face went white. I did it for the family, she stammered. To protect Lily from. You did it for her trust fund, James said, his voice like ice. You poisoned my daughter with lies. You tried to frame an innocent woman. Get out. James, please. Get out of my house. My lawyers will contact you. If you ever try to see Lily again, I'll turn these videos over to the police. Victoria, broken, left. James turned to Emma. I failed you. What I did, accusing you, I don't know how to apologize for that. Just don't stop, Emma said, looking at Lily. She needs you. This is just the beginning. James looked at his daughter, who had saved them both. I know. 6 months later, Emma walked into the penthouse. She was no longer a waitress, but a graduate student and the director of the Rachel Harrington Foundation, helping at-risk kids through music and art programs. She followed the sound of piano music to the open door of the music room. James sat at the piano, picking out a clumsy bass line. Beside him, Lily's fingers danced across the keys in a beautiful melody. They were playing together. It was messy, full of mistakes. And it was perfect. You're late, Lily called out, rolling her eyes but smiling. And Dad, you're flat. Again. From the top. Emma leaned against the doorframe, watching them, and smiled. They say money can't solve problems. And that's true. Money couldn't fix Lily's grief. Couldn't buy James a connection with his daughter. But Emma? She showed them that the most valuable thing isn't money at all. It's seeing people. Really seeing them. Not the problem. Not the reputation. The person underneath. And sometimes, that's the only thing that can break through the walls we build to protect our broken hearts. What would you have done in Emma's situation? When you were accused of something you didn't do, would you have fought harder, or would you have walked away? And have you ever been the person who needed someone to just see you? Let us know in the comments. And if this story touched your heart, please share it with someone who needs to hear it today.